All right, folks, what's up? This is MetalHead Michael. Welcome to another podcast. And for those of you who don't know, that is Mastodon doing the intro to my bumper music for this episode, for this podcast. And we'll talk a little bit more about Mastodon and Brent Hines later on. So let's get right to it, folks. There is so much to get to. I've been super busy with school starting. School's been very stressful for me this semester, and so I wanted to do another MetalHead Michael podcast before the end of August. So hey, I got about 12 hours to go, so I'm getting it in nonetheless. Now I know that last time I did a MetalHead Michael podcast, I spoke about there not being a whole lot of shows coming up, and I only had one left, which was the Pantera concert on September 11th, which I will be at. I will be in my usual seat, T328 rather. So come by and see me. Say hi to MetalHead Michael. I might give you a prize if you do. I don't know if I'll give you a prize. I'll buy you a drink if you come by and say hi to me. It's about all I can afford. I'm going to barely afford that. But anywho, I digress. I'll be in T328, which is my usual seat that I buy at the Walnut Creek for the Pantera show on September 11th. It is going to be a kick-ass day. Now, getting back to my point, basically ask and ye shall receive with this information about upcoming shows. Boy, did I get really fact-checked when I went back and looked at my notes, because there are some really good upcoming shows, folks, and I want to mention some of those. Of course, Pantera, as I just stated, on September 11th at Walnut Creek. In This Moment is playing on October 23rd in the Greensboro Complex. That's going to be a really kick-ass Halloween show. Nothing More is playing way out in January at the Ritz. That's going to be a good show. Those guys are awesome percussionists. Trivium on Halloween night at the House of Myrtle Blues. Now, that's going to be a freak show. You guys really need to check Trivium out at the House of Blues on Halloween night. I went to Shinedown last Thursday. I will talk a little bit more about that. Spirit Box is in the Greensboro Complex on December 2nd. Mudvayne is at the Red Hat Amphitheater on October 21st. That's going to be another little freakish Halloween show, which will be good. Falling in Reverse just played recently. Chevelle, check this out. Chevelle is within the next week at the Red Hat Amphitheater. They're playing with Asking Alexandria, Boo, and Dead Poet Society. Yay. So that'll be a good show. Cannibal Corpse is at the Ritz on October 14th. That'll be close to Halloween. Another good freak show for you. Fit for a King is at the Ritz on November 28th. Guar is at the Piedmont Hall on November 12th. If you've never been to a Guar show, I'm just going to tell you to take a poncho with you, a full-length poncho, and that's all I'm going to say. For those of you who've been to a Guar show, you know what it means. Good luck. Good luck. And make sure your phone has a protective cover. That's all I'm going to say, too. Like I said, if you've been there, you know that. Seether, October 18th, with Daughtry at the Red Hat Amphitheater. Now, that's a pretty damn good show right there. That's a pretty hot ticket. Whitechapel is at the House of Blues. I've seen Whitechapel on this tour. That's how I kicked off this year's tour. Let's see. Jeff Tate is at the House of Myrtle Blues doing the whole Operation Mindcrime album. I think it's an acoustic set. Let's see. AFI, House of Blues, October 21st. Bring Me the Horizon, September 21st at the Lenovo Center. Make sure you got plenty of money for parking on that one there. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, I don't know what I was complaining about in the last podcast about there not being upcoming shows. But like I said, ask and you shall receive. So there you go, folks. A lot to get to. Let's keep moving. The answer to the previous trivia question was none other than Pantera's album, Far Beyond Driven. Far Beyond Driven debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart in 1994, and that, of course, was the focus of the trivia question. It was a significant event in music. It was the heaviest album to ever achieve this feat. Now, I am fact-checking that against the Black Album, Metallica's Black Album. So I think stat-wise, Pantera's album actually beat out Metallica's Black Album, if I'm not mistaken, on the Billboard 200. As far as debut goes, I need to fact check that, but the answer to the previous trivia question came out to be Pantera's Far Beyond Driven. The album's success was unexpected, as per my notes and my research, that the band was expected to soften their sound. I don't know who expected them to soften their sound, but they instead delivered an even more aggressive and extreme album. Pantera's Far Beyond Driven, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard chart in 1994, was your answer to your previous trivia question. Moving right along, Kiss, the rock band Kiss, they definitely felt like shouting out loud when the president revealed that they would be among this year's Kennedy Center honorees. Now, this is usually an event that is recorded in anywhere from October, November up to Thanksgiving, and it's usually shown on Christmas Day, right? Traditionally. But Kiss has made it into this Kennedy Center honorees. And this isn't exactly coming on the curtails of them being in the Hall of Fame, because they've been well established in the Hall of Fame, but it took them a while. But this came to me as a surprise, especially when President Trump was taking over the Kennedy Center operations and so forth. One of the first things he did was announce Kiss as one of the Kennedy Center honorees. Now, here's my question, and I'd love to hear your feedback on some of this stuff. First of all, will they perform? Traditionally, the honorees don't, but you never know with Gene Simmons and with Paul Stanley, as they are the full force of that of Kiss. So will they perform? Will they wear makeup? I don't think that they will, but you never know. They may show up in full showmanship and have makeup on. And who will perform for them? Usually Kennedy Center honorees sit up top in the rafters. They have their little necklace on, and they have a significant number of people perform for them during their time slot, right? There's a lot of cool nominees with Kiss, by the way. I think one of them's a country western star. But anywho, I digress. Kiss will be honored, and I'm wondering who's going to do some of their songs. Just think about that. Now, who would you like to see perform the Kiss songs, and who will be there? That's my question too. Who's going to be there? Are we going to have Bruce Kulick? Are they going to remember Eric Carr? Is it going to be Ace Frehley and Peter Criss with Paul Stanley and Gene, or is everyone going to be able to be there and honored? I hope it's not just going to be limited to Peter Criss and Ace Frehley, because those are significant members of the band. As you know, this whole argument that has been put out many, many, many times before. However, they are not the only members of Kiss, but they are the members of Kiss that experienced the whole huge explosion of Kiss and arena rock in general. So it'll be interesting to see who will be there, who will perform for them, and whether or not they're going to be in makeup. So those are some interesting things about Kiss and their nominations to be Kennedy Center honorees. I look forward to the Christmas show, as I do every year. It really is, to me, it's a good show. I remember when Led Zeppelin got in, when other members, rock members have gotten in as well. So be interesting to see. Looking forward to it, like I said. Sip of an ice cold Corona. All right, folks, let's get to it. We got a lot to get to. Dave Mustaine, if you have not heard, Dave Mustaine from Metallica is retiring. It was really cool how they did a countdown to extinction countdown clock on the Megadeth website, and everybody was anticipating, something different than what was announced, which was that David Mustaine is basically hanging it up, retiring, going to take a break, be with his family, be with his wine industry that he owns and operates. And they are going on a world global farewell tour. Now, they start later next month, September. Well, I say next month. We're at the 31st, the last day of the month. So in September, they're going to start a foreign tour, which will end in October. And then they'll have from October until the beginning of 2026 to get ready for this world global farewell tour that will kick off in the United States, sometime in 2026. There's going to be a lot of announcements. The dates of the U.S. North American tour for the World Global Farewell Tour, the U.S. leg of that tour will be announced sometime between now and Christmas. There is a new album that they're going to be working on. I've heard rumors that they've already been in the studio, or they're tinkering around with studio time right now. They've certainly got enough material for a new album. That will be forthcoming, as well as a new memoir by Dave Mustaine, which will also be forthcoming. Now, my question and thoughts on Dave Mustaine retiring is good for him. Go out on your own terms, especially after being nominated so many times for a Grammy and finally winning one, right? And just the pinnacle of success that this man has had, where he's come from, what he's been through. Here's my question: is this somebody who will actually retire? Now, Kiss said they were going to retire. We know what happened with them dozens and dozens of times over, literally dozens of times over. Slayer said that they were going to retire. They are now touring again. They played Ozzy Osbourne's final show together. Motley Crue said that they were going to retire. We know what happened with them. So is this someone who's going to stick with it? I really think he will. Dave Mustaine has developed a kind of a very unique intelligence for the music industry. If you ever hear him talk about music and making music, he is very savvy to what's going on and what it takes to make a successful album and to be successful in his music. He's very knowledgeable, very savvy, and he's talked about you have to know when to quit. Not only when you're composing songs, you have to know when to stop when it's a good enough song, and you have to know when to quit when you're going to go out on your own terms and when you're in the pinnacle, if you will, of your career. So I think that this is somebody who will actually stick to it. I think he's got more important things to do, quite frankly. Like his wine industry, he has a vast, successful wine industry that he owns and operates. And I think also another additional comment and observation I want to make on Dave Mustaine retiring is I think Ozzy Osbourne's death, quite frankly, had something to do with it. Nobody's going to live forever, so why subject yourself to that kind of rigorous touring torture? And that's what life on the road can be like, forever into your old age. And I just can't wait, first and foremost, to see the Megadeth final tour, and couldn't be more happier for Dave Mustaine retiring, for sure. Speaking of Megadeth, Metallica, you see what I did there? Metallica is thinking about a residency. Wait a minute, I think I have some additional notes on Megadeth. Let's see. Just that he's going to have a memoir coming out, and his new album will be forthcoming. That's really all I got on that. Tour stops, as well as ticketing information and VIP meet and greet options will be available through the Megadeth website when they drop. So stay tuned to the Megadeth website exclusively, especially if you want to do VIP meet and greet, as well as ticketing information. Moving on, speaking of Megadeth, like I said, Metallica is rumored to be in talks for a potential residency at the Las Vegas Sphere. Now, the Sphere is currently doing The Wizard of Oz. I've seen social media clips of this. This is an amazing, absolutely amazing venue. I think it is. It's caught a lot of criticism in the past, but I think it's an absolutely amazing venue. And I know that U2 has been there. There's been some other rock bands that have been there. But they are looking to a possible potential residency at the Las Vegas Sphere in fall of 2026. So we've got a little time. No official announcement has been made, but several reports suggest the band is considering this opportunity following their World M72 tour, which has been going on for a couple of years now, really. So they'll probably get a little break and then announce some plans. Members of the band have expressed interest in the venue. Specifically, Kurt Hammett really wants to do it. And it has also been documented that their management team has visited the Sphere and that was for allegedly to get like measurements and show options and so forth, just to get a visual of it. Various media outlets are reporting the possibility of Metallica securing a residency, like I said, in the fall of 2026. The band members have talked about them being fans of the venue, and they're, like I said, also mentioned their management and production team have toured it. So they are taking notes on that. There is interest there. No official dates, however, or agreements have been confirmed. So we'll definitely keep an eye out for Metallica at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Now that is something I would really like to check out. Just on the notion of watching the Wizard of Oz clips in and of itself. This is a huge kind of a 3D wraparound. The Sphere is like a big bubble, if you will. If for those of you who don't know, look it up by all means. There's a big, huge like 3D theater wraparound screen that just comes at you like in almost like you're there. You're part of the experience. And they also incorporate, like in the Wizard of Oz, when the apple trees shake, for instance, apples, stuffed animal apples actually like fall from the sky into the audience. They have like wind machines for like the Wizard of Oz when the tornado goes through and wipes out Dorothy's house and so forth. So when they incorporate like rock music into it, like U2, for instance, incorporated their whole Joshua Tree screen photos into this huge theater atmosphere and 3D experience. So I would absolutely love to see what Metallica can bring, like a heavy metal band can bring to this experience, especially Metallica. They're in 72. Can you imagine them doing one on stage at the Sphere? What the 3D theatrical experience would be. It would just absolutely be amazing. If have not seen the Sphere, look it up, check it out. Look at some of the other past shows that have been there. Look at the current Wizard of Oz that is playing, and you can get an idea of why I'm so excited about Metallica playing at the Sphere. And wow, yeah, I'd love to see that happen. I actually think it would be a very good move for Metallica, who has a notorious history of just touring endlessly, right? They're just vigorous tours. They're a touring band. And when they tour for years on end. So I think this is actually like a genius move and would be considered by the bandmates and their production team as a little bit of a break, quite frankly. So I'd like to see this happen, most definitely, and I will be following this to make sure. I don't know if I can afford a ticket to Vegas, but man, I would love to see the Sphere in any capacity, and especially if Metallica is going to be playing. Those are going to be some easy for me to say, those sold out residency shows night after night after night if Metallica books the Sphere. You can guarantee that. All right, folks. Have you guys seen Vince Neil? Like, what is wrong with Vince Neil? I am extremely concerned about this man. I know he has had health and weight issues, and Lord knows I'm nobody to criticize about weight issues because I have weight issues of my own. I admit that I do. I've struggled with it since COVID. COVID was not good to me, and I've never been able to take off my fat. So I'm overweight. I'm out of my BMI myself, but I'm really worried about Vince Neil. He's a public figure, so he's the front man of Motley Crue, of course, and he's got in the Vince Neil band. Have you seen the videos lately of him with the Vince Neil band? He does not look good, folks. He looks exhausted. He looks out of it, like he's never looked out of it before. Again, there's some weight issues I think that he's having. He is look dazed and confused. He looks just stoned out of his mind completely. Looks like he's reading every single thing off of a teleprompt in front of him, but yet he can hardly sing, the lyrics to his words. And I know that a lot of people have made fun of him. There's been memes and so forth, but I'm wondering what could be wrong. There's some major issues there obviously going on. Social media rumors, and only rumors, have suggested that he might have had a stroke. There's something cognitive going on there. I mean, that's how bad it really looks. If you get a chance to look up some of his, if it hasn't popped up on your phone yet, then check out some of the Vince Neil touring videos, and you could tell something's wrong with the guy. You could tell something's really wrong with the guy. It's very concerning, actually, to watch. There might be. I think there's some major issues going on, as there has been major issues with him in the past, and I really do think he's canceled the residency that he had at a Vegas booking. I'm not sure which venue it was. He had to have a medical procedure, and he didn't. He didn't reveal what that was. He kept that a secret. Which is altogether fine, but if you're a public figure like Vince Neil is, and you announce something like that, and you say, well, I'm not going to tell you what it is, it only makes the talking heads like TMZ and so forth want to find out more about what's going on with you, rather than just being forthright and, letting everybody know what's going on. So there's some medical issues there for sure that he has acknowledged but has not revealed. And it just looks like something's really wrong with the guy. And I wish him the best, but I think it might be time for him to hang it up, by all means. In line with what Dave Mustaine is doing, who is retiring, and Ozzy Osbourne dying. Nobody's going to live forever by any means, and he has definitely made his mark in the music, heavy metal industry and scene with Motley Crue. I think it might be time for him to pass the torch along and go retire. There's a point in time where you have enough money. My goodness, really. And Motley Crue has just, really, really banked some money over the years. So go retire and relax and enjoy yourself. By all means, enjoy your success that you've had. Enjoy your career. Be proud of yourself in your retirement. But don't keep going so far that it's going to kill you. My goodness gracious. Slipknot. Let's talk about Corey Taylor and Slipknot. Slipknot is rumored to be selling their catalog. This was surprising to me and definitely worthy of being on Metalhead Michael. $120 million is the rumor that they are selling their catalog for. I do have some notes on this. Let me get to it. According to Billboard, Slipknot is close to completing a deal to sell its music catalog for approximately $120 million. The deal between members of the long-running metal band and Harbor View Equity Partners, which own Slipknot, includes the rights to Slipknot publishing and recording masters royalties. It reportedly covers the band's catalog but does not extend to future releases. Let's see. Their music has generated $15.5 million in annual revenue over the last 3 years, while publishing brought in an additional $5.2 million. It's not clear whether all of the members, Motley Crue, Slipknot is a multi-faceted band. They have multiple members in that band. So it's not clear whether all members are participating in the deal, because some of them have not been in Slipknot for the duration of Slipknot's existence. So that'll be interesting to see, one, how that plays out, two, if they're actually going to do it, and three, if $120 million is a good deal. What do you guys think? I am not savvy to music catalogs, the worth of what your catalog could be, but I don't think, just on the top of my brain, I don't think $120 million for Slipknot's catalog up until the present day is worth it. I just don't. I think that there's equity involved in that. catalog that could possibly. I just think they should hold on to it. It's kind of the antithesis of Slipknot, anyways. Selling out. Think about that. Again, I don't know who's getting the better deal. I don't know all those gory details, as I like to say. For $120 million, is that a good deal? Is that a ripoff? Who's making the better deal? Who's getting ripped off? And it's easy for me to say that I would hold on to my catalog. It's easy for me to say that. But if somebody put $120 million down on the table in front of me, then I might be persuaded to change my mind. So I'm not claiming to be an expert, but if I were Corey Taylor, I would hold on to my catalog just for the equity and the potential to earn more than $120 million through what he does, through Slipknot and through Stone Sour in and of itself, and all his other works everything else that he does. I don't know. I can't see him. I can't see Corey Taylor doing that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't see Corey Taylor moving forward with that. What do you guys think? Do you think $120 million for Slipknot's catalog up until the present day is worth it? $120 million. I just think somebody's ripping the band off. Myself, I really do. For that kind of money, I think they could make more holding on to their catalog. Let's see. What else do I got? Lot to go over here. That's Slipknot. Shinedown. Let's talk about Shinedown in the concert I went to see last Thursday night. Oh, my goodness gracious. I went to see Shinedown. I bought the ticket to Shinedown thinking, well, this is, going to wrap up my concert season. One of the shows that's going to wrap up my concert season. I'll be looking forward to it. It'll be kind of a, humdrum, kind of a average show, but it'll be a live show nonetheless. Folks, this was an incredible show. This was absolutely incredible, and it was sold out. So many people came out for this show. I definitely give it 2 metal horns. They had this pyro setup that was unbelievable. And again, I thought it was going to be average, but it knocked my socks off. Bush opened up for Shinedown. Haven't seen Bush haven't heard anything about Bush in years. And this guy, Gavin Rossdale, he did all the Bush classics. He came running out to the audience and was running all over the place. This guy was amazing at 57, 58 years old, I think it was. And then Shinedown came out, and like pyros are blowing up all over the place, practically, going off right under the feet of the lead singer a couple times. And it was just a really good sold-out show. It made everybody feel good. They have a tradition that they do where they make you look to your left and look to your right and shake the hand of the person. And then they say, you are no longer strangers. You are now Shinedown family. And you just got that vibe for sure while at the show. And I had the time of my life. It was one, I know you guys get sick of hearing this, but it was one of the best shows I went to all year. But they keep getting better. That's all there is to it. They just keep getting better. I have one more show called Pantera, little band, up and coming band called Pantera. You may have heard of with Zakk Wylde, the drummer for Anthrax. Rex Brown is with them. Oh, my God, what a good show this is going to be. September 11th at Walnut Creek. Come out and join me. Amon Amarth is opening up for them. The Viking Band, as I like to call them. So bring your Viking little horn beer drinking cup and get ready to slam. Get ready to be slamming. Definitely going to buy me 2 or 3 different T-shirts or whatnot. Looking forward to that. All of my footage for the Shinedown show and all my other previous shows, including the Bush footage as well that I took, are updated on my YouTube channel of my personal name, Michael Clegg, with the Godsmack logo. They have all been uploaded, and that channel has been updated. When you can tour in support of an album that's been out a few years and sell out, you got something good going on, and that's exactly what Shinedown did. I'll leave it at that. I will leave it at that. Let's talk about Mastodon and the death of Brent Hinds. I have some notes on this. This occurred one night prior to the Shinedown concert. And speaking of the Shinedown concert and the death of Brent Hinds, they both the lead singer for Bush, Gavin Rossdale, and the lead singer for Shinedown took time to pay tribute to Brent Hinds during the show. Brent Hinds was killed last Wednesday night in a crash while on a Harley Davidson in downtown Atlanta, Georgia, where he's from, where he basically started the band. He was 51 years old, which is entirely too young for such a great talent to be taken away from us. Had to get a sip of beer, excuse me. The 51-year-old was best known for his time with the Atlanta-based band Mastodon, as we all know. He co-founded that band in 2000. I think he was essentially fired on a subsequent basis. But as of 2025, the band has released 8 studio albums and earned 1 Grammy. And he was being described as, quote-unquote, the creative force behind all of that music and all of that band's success, without question. Gavin Rossdale said, it's a tough night for me. Go listen to some Mastodon. Go burn and download some Mastodon. And like I said, the lead singer for Shinedown also paid a little tribute to him as well. Which brings me to my band pick of the week, which is Mastodon. And I encourage everyone, that was the opening bumper music that I played to open up this MetalHead Michael podcast. And I would encourage everybody to buy a Mastodon CD, buy a t-shirt, buy something with Mastodon, download, burn, doesn't matter. But go back and listen to the very signature sound of this band. This is one of those bands where if you hear it, you instantly pop up and say, that is Mastodon, because that is the creative force, much like Brent Hinds, behind the band. They just have a very signature sound, which is always very significant to me when I am reviewing and liking bands, without question, and reviewing bands and picking out my favorites. You must be able to carve out your own niche, and that is certainly something that Mastodon did, as well as Brent Hinds. So go back and review and revisit and love again Brent Hinds and Mastodon, without question. All right, folks, let's get to this week's trivia question. Now, I mentioned KISS as that will be among this year's Kennedy Center honorees, and that, of course, brings us to this week's trivia question, which involves KISS. Check this out. Who was the member of KISS who was known as the Ankh Warrior? The Ankh Warrior. He basically invaded the KISS scene. That's a little clue for you right there. Folks, it's too easy. I'm just practically giving this to you. Come on now. You got to know this one. All right, folks. Thanks for joining me. It makes me feel so good when you all join me, especially on a Sunday. Metal Michael. School's been crazy, so I'll probably be off for a while, but I'll get on as soon as I can, as much as I can, as often as I can. Don't forget, I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on X. MetalHead Michael has its own YouTube channel. And I also, my concert footage is under my personal name, Michael Clegg, with the Godsmack black logo, the black Godsmack logo. Check it out. And don't forget to keep your horns raised. Your metal horns raised always. And thanks for all you do keeping metal music alive. I love you guys. Peace out. See you next time.